I got myself the Epiphone SG Standard. This one here, the lespaul Standard 60's. Everyone loves a lespaul, don't they? Not everyone loves an SG apparently. I thought we'd review them both and at the same time take the opportunity to compare them. And we'll do a nice little sound test later. Well, I say nice, it might be rubbish, but hello everyone, thanks for joining me today. Good to see you. So today we're looking at another two new guitars, what I have acquired for your entertainment, or probably for my entertainment, more than that, to be honest with you. But the thing is, I can film them also for your entertainment, and everyone's a winner. So super. As promised, I got myself the Epiphone SG Standard in Alpine White, and a few weeks earlier I'd got myself the Epiphone lespaul Standard 60's in ebony. Both of these from the Inspired by Gibson range. I realise Epiphone becoming a little bit of a theme on the channel, but the truth of the matter is these guitars are fantastic. So, you know, they're very popular. A lot of people are interested in them. And I, in particular, like playing them. So I just keep buying the damn things. We'll get through the range eventually and probably move on to something else. But in the meantime, I hope you like these things. You know, these are fantastic guitars. Now, the SG Standard here, the retail price on this at the moment in the UK, and it's November 2021, the retail price on this is £399. Street prices are a little bit cheaper than that. I actually got this, this is an X-Display model that I picked up for £329 from GAC in Brighton in the UK. There's not a mark on it though. When it arrived, there's not a mark on it. The only way you'd know it was X-Display is because obviously someone's changed the strings for some kind of bullet things. They look like, you know, if anyone remembers Fender Super Bullets. I have no idea what these are, but someone obviously restrung it, maybe set it up. It certainly plays like it's been set up. And it was in tune, but apart from that, it was immaculate. So well done, GAC. This one here, the lespaul Standard 60's, currently retail price in the UK is £599. Again, you know, you can probably get better street prices on that, and this is after Epiphone's recent price rise. Again, November 2021 we are at the moment. So, but again, this one actually, I saw this I bought this used from a dealer. I bought it from Rich Tone Music in Sheffield, and I paid £379 for this. I was looking to get a new one, and this was in their store online. It's a 2020 model, but it's the same range, obviously. So I thought £379. Do you know what? I'm going to go for it. And again, you know, you can see very light playing wear, and it's got a little bit of a scratch on the back, but beyond that, it's a bit of a bargain. So I'm pleased to got that. I've played these a little bit, and they're both excellent. So I'm really looking forward to taking a closer look with you guys. And I thought we'd review them both, and at the same time take the opportunity to compare them. Have a look at what the difference between the, you know, everyone loves a lespaul, don't they? Not everyone loves an SG apparently. So I thought what we'd do is we'll do a side-by-side comparison to look and see what the differences are, and we'll do a nice little sound test later. well, I say nice, it might be rubbish, but we'll do a sound test later and hopefully you'll be able to hear the differences, if there are any. I don't know if there are. Let's find out. It's a fairly well-trodden path. Lots of people have done this, but let's do our own take on it, shall we? I had a lot of comments and feedback from the SG custom video on SGs. A lot of people are they still seem to be a little bit suspicious of SGs. You know, there's all some urban myths about them and so on and so forth that I'd like to address today in a little bit more scientific detail, if possible. You know, Les Pauls are widely acceptable. SGs, a lot of people are still a bit on the fence about them, or quite negative about them. Some people. So yeah, let's try and debunk some myths and see if we can identify any differences. Okay, so let's start with the Les Paul. Mahogany body, mahogany set neck. This is a 60s slim taper profile, apparently. We'll measure these up in a bit and we'll put the profiles up so you can see what that actually means. Being a Les Paul, this has got a solid maple cap, as Les Pauls all have. And this one here has got the Grover Rotomatic tuners, which are a nice solid thing. A lot of people prefer those to the older style vintage Clusons. Okay, this has got 60s appropriate top hat knobs with the metal inserts. Oh, this has got an Indian laurel fingerboard, medium jumbo frets, and nice off-white binding all around the guitar. It looks really good. And let's have a look at the SG. So the SG, again, mahogany body, mahogany neck. Again, it says 60s slim taper. So when we measure them, we'll see if they're the same or not. Indian laurel fingerboard, medium jumbo frets. This one's got the Epiphone Deluxe vintage Cluson style tuners with the off-white tulip knobs. Again, this is based on a 60s SG. You can tell by the bigger batwing style pickguard, which was a mid 60s, I think it was, came in on the SG, maybe 65, 66, I think it was, where they brought the bigger style pickguard in. And these are period correct knobs, the top hat knobs with the metal inserts. Now let's talk about scale length. Both of these guitars are standard Gibson scale length, which is 24 3/4 inches or thereabouts, which means the length between the bridge and the nut, basically, there and there. It's a scale length. Both of these guitars are identical, but there's this kind of perception that the Gibson SG has got a longer neck. A lot of people seem to think it's got a longer neck, but it hasn't. It's exactly the same. So the fact of the matter is, if you thought it was any different in terms of where you know, playability, everything's in exactly the same position. The bridge and the pickups in relation to the nut, all the frets are in exactly the same position on both of these guitars. And I'll prove that in case you don't believe me. So you can see the nut and the, let's just line these up. There's lining up the nut on the Les Paul with the bridge on the SG, and then at the other end you can see it's exactly the same. I mean, it's not terribly scientific, but you can see exactly what I mean. They're exactly the same scale length there to there. There's no difference. So the idea that the SG has got a longer neck, a lot of people, comments that I get from people say, oh, they can't get on with them because of the nuts, the frets are so far away. Well, actually, it's nothing to do with that. It's just the style of the guitar. Obviously, the cutaway on the SG here makes the guitar sit in a slightly different position. So, I mean, it feels perfectly natural to me because I'm absolutely used to this. But if you're used to other guitars, I think the Les Paul sits further back because the cutaway's there. I'll overlay something so you can see what the difference is, and which is why that feels there. It's because when you're sitting down playing it, yeah, it would be in a different position. That wouldn't apply when you're standing up though. So if you're trying out an SG for the first time and it suddenly feels like weird, oh blimey, the nut's all the way up there, I can't reach. Stand up. You know, if you stand up and put it on a strap, then I imagine it'll feel exactly the same. Then, you know, in terms of, you know, where your hands fall. So it might make it easier. So there you go. There's a fun fact for you. One of the big differences between a Les Paul and an SG is the weight. And this is a fairly decent weight. It's not too heavy, but it's not too light. This particular Les Paul weighs in at £9.10 ounces, or 4.39 kilos, whereas this SG, £6.14 ounces, or 3.12 kilos. There you go. So yeah, it's quite a difference. There's about £3 difference, which is why you see Angus Young always using an SG and never using a Les Paul, because he simply wouldn't be able to throw that extra £3 weight around, would he? Okay, let's get the strings off these things and have a closer look. Are these super bullets? Wow. You can see why people prefer Grover tuners. They are, you know, they're nice and they feel really solid. But I think the truth of the matter is I don't think they hold the tuning any better than the Clusons. So first things first, let's just compare this hardware and see if it's the same. I'm pretty sure it is, but both Epiphone lock tone. 72 gram tailpiece on the SG. 72 gram tailpiece on the Les Paul. And the bridge. And the Les Paul 47 grams. Bridge on the SG 46 grams. So I guess the plating's a little bit thinner on the SG. So we're safe to say the bridge and the tailpiece on these are identical. I think you can also see the nuts appear to be identical as well. What are they? What do they say they are? Graphtec, yeah, Graphtec nuts on both of these. And obviously these have both got the new old Kalamazoo style headstock, with the standard truss rod covers. I'll open these up, just might as well as we're here. Don't worry, I'm not putting undue pressure on these neck joints, chaps. We're pretty sure these have both got scarf joints in the neck, so they're stronger than Gibson ones anyway, so they're not going to break. So there you go. Under the truss rod covers on both of those. They're both the Allen wrench style. And they always look quite tidy, these Epiphones, don't they? Okay, so let's have a look at the pickups. Okay, so the moment of truth. Has this got a long neck tenon? This has got that immovable label that's been lacquered over. It's like the QR code from hell. You can't, I mean, I don't think there's nothing you can do about that without breaking it, which I don't like to do, because obviously it's, you break that label. Can I lever it off? You'd probably have to get a heat gun or something like that. And you could. Oh, it's coming. Yes. Look. There you go. So no, it hasn't got a long neck tenon, this one. I was almost convinced it would have. I was almost convinced it would have, because the lespaul 50s standard that we when we compared that to the Gibson 50s, we were surprised to see that the 50s had a long neck tenon, and I was pretty convinced that they would use the same basis, you know, the body and stuff. I mean, I suppose the neck's different on the 50s, so I suppose. Well, there you go. Anyway, that's interesting. So let's just get this camera so we can have a closer look. They're in the neck cavity there. Neck pickup there. Probucker 2. Neck. Pop that back there, and then let's have a look at the neck, the bridge. There you go. So there's nothing much to see in there. I mean, it's quite tidy. You've got a Probucker 3 there, you can see. Right. SG. So this is a different kind of task, because the pickups are fixed to the scratch plate, and I'm going to just take the scratch plate off, which will also involve removing the bridge so that we can get to, and possibly the thumb wheels. I don't think they'll go over, I'm not sure. Yeah, to remove these screws as well, so to set the action later anyway. Right, so let's see what happens under here. Can he flip it? There you go. Let's get, I've got a cloth here. There you go. Bit of sawdust. You can see where the neck joint comes into there. So I suppose actually that you'd say that was a long neck tenon, wouldn't you? Because that comes into there. On the SG we've got Alnico Pro bridge and Alnico Pro neck. And that's what's under the bonnet. Okay, pick up outputs. So on the SG, the bridge, 7.6, what's that, 7.61 kilo ohms, 7.34 kilo ohms on the neck. On the Les Paul, we got 8.35 kilo ohms on the bridge and 7.68 kilo ohms on the neck. So the Pro Buckers are a little bit hotter than the Classic Pros. There you go. Now there you go. There's inside the control cavities on both of these guitars. So they've both got the same setup basically. They've both got CTS 500K parts, plug-in pickups, and you know, and they're hand wired. Beyond the plug-in pickups, they're hand wired. So there you go. So I'm going to restring both of these now and set them up same in terms of the pickup heights and the action. And then we'll have a listen and see what they sound like, shall we? Cool. See you in a minute. We're going to start with the neck dive test and see how this SG does in the neck dive test, because it is a thing, you know, following on from the review of the SG Custom. I had loads of great comments from people. Thanks for that, chaps. Loads of people saying it wasn't a thing and it didn't bother them, and loads of people saying it was a thing and it did bother them. So there's a definite split down the middle. People that are bothered by SG neck dive and people that aren't. So each to their own. I think it's the thing that if it's in your mind and you're thinking about it, I think it's one of those things that you're always going to think about. For me, as I've said before, it's never been a thing. Anyway, let's have a look and see what happens when we release the neck. Okay, Epiphone SG standard. It's not a special strap, it's not a thick strap, it's just a strap. I can feel it pulling on there. There's the weight's pulling on there as opposed to pulling on the back here. So I suppose that might be something that people are talking about. Sort of pulling on your shoulder a bit. But again, when you're playing it, you're generally supporting it anyway. Anyway, that's that. Let's get this strap off because that'll just get in the way. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down a simple loop, and then I'm going to play through the pickups and settings on each guitar, and I'll do one thing on the SG, then I'll do it same on the Les Paul, same settings, and then we'll go backwards and forwards, switching between the pickups and mucking around with the tone and volume controls a little bit, so we get an overview of how they compare on the same settings. So I'll try and show you what I'm doing with my right hand on the controls so that you can see where we're at with the guitars, and hopefully we can compare the sounds, and it'll be a little bit more interesting than trying to talk you through them all the time. We'll see, shall we? Okay, let's give that a go. Yeah. So on the Les Paul, here's the profile and measurements at the 1st fret. And here's the profile and measurements at the 12th fret. In the SG, here's the profile and measurements at the 1st fret. And here's the profile and measurements at the 12th fret. So there you go. That's kind of what they sound like. Hopefully I managed to demonstrate a range of sounds from each guitar, so that you can hear, you know, the differences, or the difference. There's definitely a difference. In fact, to be honest with you, I think it's a lot more noticeable than I imagined it might be. Obviously, you've got you know, the bulk of the body of the Les Paul obviously makes a difference, or shall we say, the lack of bulk of the SG obviously makes a difference. The Les Paul has got this maple cap on it, which adds an entirely different flavour, apart from anything else. And you know, and I'm sure you heard here, and if you didn't know already, that it's a darker sounding guitar than the SG. The SG's angry. It's an angry guitar. It's got more of a, I won't say lightness. It's more toppy than the Les Paul, which is, you know, has definitely got you know, it's a more robust sound. When I'm playing these, I find the SGs much more manageable. I find the SG, you know, you can turn it up. You know, you can turn it up to find the sound you're looking for. With the Les Paul, I often find that I'm trying to turn it down, you know, to find the sound I'm looking for. It's just kind of so much more ballsier and often in an over the top way. That was my feeling then. Just after playing, I'm thinking actually I'm constantly backing off the Les Paul, whereas the SG's either there or I can give it a little bit more. The Les Paul's definitely got the more sustain going on, but I think it's harder. To control because of that. I find this with my R8, the Les Paul R8 I've got. You know, it's so there, bam. Its presence is there all the time. It's like it wants to beat you up all the time. You know, it's just come on. You know, and I say the SG's angry, but not in that way. It's not going to, you know, kneecap you all the time. It's angry in a nice way. It wants to be your friend. It's kind of like, yeah, come on. Whereas the Les Paul's like, get out of the way. If that makes any sense whatsoever, I'll be surprised. But that was my description of the difference between a Les Paul and an SG. That'll be interesting editing this, won't it? I mean, I've got to qualify this and say I'm not an experienced Les Paul player, and I think someone that plays these things all the time will be able to control it a little bit better than I can. It's still a bit hit and miss for me. I still find it wants to drag me into the deep end all the time. Whereas an SG, I'm used to playing SGs. It can go there, it can go all the way into that, you know, the weeds or the deep end or the punch up, whatever analogy you like to use. But yeah, you're taking it there rather than trying to bring it back. So yeah, that's the difference. They're both great rock guitars. The natural brightness of an SG, I think you'll find, will make it sit in a track better for recording. And in a live situation, an SG will always cut through where a Les Paul might not. But again, in the right hands, you've got to learn how to use these controls properly. I think the setup we had today when we were playing showed how the volume controls are quite important, not to have those, you know, at maxed out all the time. If you back them off, it cleans up to the point where it cuts through, and if you're on 10 all the time, it's just a kind of, you know, noise. So both of these guitars have got a lot of versatility, you know, within the tone and volume controls. So in terms of the review of these guitars, I know I've said it before and I'll say it time and time again, the inspired by Gibson range from Epiphone are really, really good value guitars. I know obviously this is an ex-display model and this was second hand, but I paid £700 for the pair. And I consider that I have got a proper Les Paul and a proper SG for £700. So if you're thinking about getting either or both of these even, I suggest you do it. And do it quick before Epiphone put the prices up again. Okay, so there you go. That's the Les Paul and the SG. Okay, so, well, hopefully that was something informative, if not entertaining. I guess if you're still watching at this point, it must have been something. So as long as it's something, I'm happy. Thank you very much again for sticking with it, and hope to see you again next week. All right, cheers, ta-ra, bye.